I will tell you about 3 classic Sudokus released this month I think you will love. I'll review these puzzles by giving you insights from the setters themselves as well as my perspective as a solver. Stick around to the end. I'll even give you hints to help you solve each of these puzzles. Click on links below if you want to try them yourself, and with that, it's reviewing time. Okay, for our first puzzle, an easy category, this is a gas puzzle by Sam Cavnar-Johnson. It's called Lunar. GAS stands for Generally Approachable Sudoku. I reached out to Sam to get some insight about this puzzle. Once I saw it on the server, I thought it would be really cool to feature it because I enjoyed solving it myself. And what Sam said was, you're kind of curious about the inspiration Lunar. You know, you want to look, does this look like a moon in any way? No, these are not really shaped like a moon. And so what he said is that he got the inspiration for the name based on something that was happening at the time he was setting the puzzle. And so he was listening to a video about the Terra Luna crash. And so he got the name Lunar from there. So that's why you get the name Lunar. As far as inspiration goes, Sam said he did not have an inspiration for this puzzle in particular. He wasn't inspired by another puzzle. He was just working with some techniques to make this particular grid. I asked Sam what kind of ideas did he want to convey to the solver, and he said he wanted to make something that was easy if you use Snyder notation. So of course Snyder notation, for example, with these ones, if you only have 2 places left for the ones, you make the marks right there. He said you want to reward someone using Snyder notation, so you might want to use Snyder when you use this puzzle. And he also wanted people to point out and see pointing pairs. And the example he says here is, you look at how the 9 comes across here, and you have the 9 coming up here. That means the 9s are limited to these 2 spots right there. So that's called a pointing pair. What that means is the 9s are limited to column 2 and block 1. So the 9 cannot be here or here. And since there's a 9 in column 1, you'd be able to solve this cell for a 9. Okay? And then as far as how long it took to set, he said it wasn't that long. It took him about an hour at most. He also had some help with ranks. He said ranks as a solver was indispensable for setting this. He tested himself once when he was done setting it. Then he went to the Cracking the Cryptic testing channel and he got some more feedback on this one. So that is the setter's perspective. From a solving perspective, as far as symmetry goes, there's really not a lot here. This grid is kind of like all over the place. And that's what's, it can be a little hard on the eyes when you don't see like a pattern in the grid, but when you start working through this puzzle and you start noticing things like, you know, this pointing pair of 9s, or, you know, how these 6s interact, or the 4s, you know, you can start making some progress pretty quick in the puzzle. Centrality, there really isn't a lot of centrality. You'll see most of the numbers are sporadically populated around the entire grid. I mean, there's 2 to 3 givens in each block, and they're all over, which is okay. That's why it doesn't really give any shape to it. I'm glad he explained to me why he called it Lunar. Maximality and minimality, 25 givens, which is normal for Sudoku. You've got in the mid-20s, that's a normal amount. Repeated patterns, what Sam said was you need to look for pointing pairs. And I did remember seeing some pointing pairs there. And also, I remember having to kind of work into these edge blocks to kind of make some more progress in the puzzle. As far as implied predicted logical flow, I did have a little bit of a harder time solving. It took me a little bit longer than normal for a gas. I expect a generally approachable Sudoku to be such that you're making pretty steady progress throughout and you're getting it done in just a matter of minutes. The techniques were easy to use. They weren't that hard. I just had to kind of search in the grid to find the next one. Maybe I just missed some of the telegraphing that Sam put in here. But overall, really fun puzzle. You need to try it out. Now let's move on to our next puzzle. For our next puzzle in the medium category, this is Classic Sudoku 6624 by Florian Wortmann. And once I saw this puzzle in this grid, I knew I had to try it. I have featured some of Florian's puzzles on my channel before. I'll put a link to one of them at the end of this particular video. Really challenging solves, totally enjoy them. So I reached out to Florian. Florian said, no real, name-wise, he just names all of his classic Sudoku, and then there's a number given to it by the CTC server, so he didn't have any particular naming convention for this. To me, it looks like a big pill. I would have named it something like pill or Tylenol or something. I don't know. I think something like that would have a pretty good name to it. Inspiration, he just tried to arrange the givens in a shape, and so it took him about an hour. Wasn't really focused too much on the actual technique or solve path. It's more of, hey, I want to do a shape and I want to make it into a puzzle that works. He said it took about an hour to set it. Okay, as far as testing goes, in the CTC Discord, Florian gave thanks to 15 different testers. Gizzy, Kevin, Sam Cavnar-Johnson, Pent Warrior, Triscuits, Knacknut, Infinity Fire, Aaron Rauch, The Brew, Sectra Steve, Disco Hagen, Rinse Wind, Hippo, Carpaccio, and Wild Hound 007. So really nice. I mean, other setters going and testing these puzzles really refines them, and they can make quite a few little tweaks and see how much people enjoy them. And I love what the finished products end up being. It's so cool. So this is a great puzzle, and from a setter's perspective, I just wanted to kind of share some of that. I do plan to feature more of Florian's puzzles because he's been making quite a few classics and posting on the Discord lately, and they're usually fun and are also challenging. From a solver's perspective, symmetry-wise, obviously you can see it makes a really cool shape. When I see a puzzle that's shaped like this, it's like I want to figure out how did you make this work and kind of go from there. Not much, you could say centrality-wise, it's about the same distances from the middle. Pretty much, you have about 3 givens in each grid. And I just kind of love how it just kind of makes this nice big circle around. Something else neat, maybe you didn't notice, that there's a missing digit, right? What is not shown? Well, 8. There are no 8s in here. I always find that interesting when you make a puzzle and not have any givens of one particular digit. So, one of the challenges is to find and see where you can put the 8s. Maximality, minimality, it's got about the normal amount of cells for Sudoku, so it wasn't too minimal on it, but we got here 1, 4, 7, 10, 13, 16, 19, 22, 23 givens. That's normal. Repeated patterns. In this one, there are some ways to get started, and you will actually be able to make quite a bit of progress moving on. Like you can see how there's a 6 here and a 6 here, so this has to be a 6, right? 3 here, 3 here, and 3 right there. This has to be a 3. So you can immediately start making some solves, but it does get progressively harder. And you're going to need at least one advanced technique to make it through this particular puzzle. All right, and then apply a predicted logical flow. I said you can kind of work yourself through the framing, just how I point out the 6s and then the 3s. There's some patterns there, right? So I think if you look there and you look there, okay, now I'm going to look, okay, 4s. I see something going with the 4s. And you just kind of pick your way through the numbers, all the numbers except for the 6. Or excuse me, all the numbers except for an 8, because an 8 is the one you have to kind of wait till the end and find spots where the 8s can be. Also on the CC Discord server, for the people who solved it, they gave it a difficulty of 2 out of 5 stars. I thought it was more like a 3 because of what was required. You had 4 people saying, hey, it was a good puzzle, 2 great puzzle, and then you had a bunch of, some inventive logic, some mind-blowing, so some really good feedback for this particular puzzle. I hope you give it a try. Now let's move on to our third puzzle. Okay, for our third puzzle, I put this in the hard category. This is Hermit Crab by TheTeaRex. And I have featured T-Rex puzzle before, Rainbow Beetle. I'll put a link to it at the end. Very fun puzzle. I reached out to the T-Rex, and the name comes from what he says he names a lot of his puzzles by what the grid kind of looks like. And he felt like this kind of looked like a hermit crab. And I can kind of see, maybe if you see like the shell right here, and then maybe the little, the little claws and feet coming out that way, and this might be kind of the head. I can totally make a hermit crab out of that. So I love that. I love cute names for puzzles. It kind of gives it some more personality. As far as inspiration for making the puzzle, he said the idea came from a recent trend of classics to be coloring and digit relabeling based. And in this particular puzzle, you have to kind of look for particular digits and do like a color relabel. And what that means, I'll put a link to Glitterbox and I'll show you when I did some coloring in there, you start kind of going, okay, I'm going to track ones, for example, in the corners, and I'm going to track twos, and see, well, if this is, if this is a one, then this and this and this would be a one. If this is a two, then these would be a two, and so you have like your yellow variation, your purple variation, your green variation, and so you use some coloring to kind of keep track of what would happen and could this break the puzzle. And so the T-Rex thought about that color relabeling argument, and he said, hey, how if I put a little spin on it and make it out where you have to prove that the puzzle breaks. So I'm not going to give the spoilers here. You got to wait till the end for that. When I asked the T-Rex how long it took to create this puzzle, he said it took well over 6 hours. So the T-Rex says that sometimes his puzzles are pretty quick. They take an hour, kind of like the two that I featured previously. But this one, he was trying hard because he wanted a really hard, like make it a one-stepper. So a one-stepper is a puzzle, Keen Lux, Shy likes to do these, where you have a real hard break-in. You have to kind of look at what the numbers are giving you. And once you figure out that break-in, then the puzzle will kind of fall apart. Reward the solver for using that logic to find that hard break-in. To do that, it takes a lot longer in the setting phase to create that effect. And so the T-Rex spent a lot of time because he really wanted this to be a one-stepper, and then put in all the telegraphing to make it look in a good shape. It just takes a little bit of time. He said no one really helped him come up with the ideas. He doesn't really like to steal other ideas for the puzzle. He did talk to Keen Lux about some of the ideas in it. And then for testing, he likes to share his classics in the Sudoku server. And so in the server, people like Jovial, Shy, Sam Cavnar-Johnson, Philip Newman, they sit there and bounce the ideas off each other. And he got about a week of it in the server being tested before he released it out. And it became a really, really nice puzzle. From a solver's perspective, again, once I saw this grid, I knew I had to try and solve this puzzle because I thought it was so cool. I've done some T-Rex ones before, and I went right at it. It was difficult for me. I don't think I found quite the intended logic, but I did use a strategy that was similar, and I was able to kind of break through the puzzle and get through it. As far as symmetry goes, there's not a lot of symmetry, but there is, I always like seeing when you have this kind of like trail of all the digits together. And when you don't have digits on the outside corners like that, that usually means that there's some kind of strategy or technique you got to figure out using these corners. Hint, hint, to make this puzzle work. Centrality goes, you have kind of this ring around the edges, and so it does put a lot of pressure into the middle. But the key to solving this is really to work on the outside blocks and figure out where you can go there. Maximum, minimum, a lot of digits, a lot of givens in this one. 3, 5, 8, 11, 14, 18, 21, 25, 28. So a little bit more digits given. Also gives that nice picture effect, but it doesn't make it an easier puzzle. And repeated patterns, there's a few at the beginning, but again, you're going to get to a part where you're going to have to find and figure out that one step to kind of push you through to the end. Kishore from Unshackling Sudoku and Puzzles, he actually did solve this in a recent video. I'll put a link to that below. Go check it out. He does find, more or less finds the intended logic. The T-Rex does make a comment and explains a little bit more about the intended logic in the comments of that one. So go check that one out. It was a really fun solve to watch as well. But I solved it before I watched the video. And my way works, so did Kishore's, and so, of course, does the intended logic. Also, I want to say, the people in the CTG Discord server, they gave it mostly 2 and 3 stars out of 5. I felt like it was a little bit harder than that. It got a lot of great puzzles, and it got a lot of exceptional puzzles. So people really, really enjoyed this one, and there was some inventive logic as well. So that's why I think you can see it on another channel. People kind of flocked to this puzzle. Okay, so I just told you about these 3 different puzzles. Now I'm going to tell you what you can do as hints in case you get stuck in either one of these. Okay, hint for Lunar. He said he wanted to reward people for Snyder notation, pointing pairs. Other thing I tell you is this puzzle can be solved with nothing but hidden and naked singles. If you get stuck and you're using cross-hatching, try to find a naked single and you'll be able to move on with this puzzle. All right, for Florian's puzzle, I'm going to put a link right here to a tutorial on my channel. If you do that tutorial, that should help you when you get to the harder phase of this puzzle. The other hint I will give you is you want to focus on block 9. To me, that was the key of getting through this one. Okay, for Hermit Crab, this is going to be a pretty big spoiler. So if you're all the way up to the end, it means you really want to know, or maybe you got stuck on it. The intended logic is you need to compare these two cells. All right, compare row 9, column 1, or row 1, column 9 to row 9, column 1. Okay, and figure out the relationship between those two. That will help you. The other hint I will give you, and what I used, is I use a variation of an X-Wing. And by a variation of an X-Wing, that means a finned X-Wing or sashimi X-Wing. If you're not familiar with those, check out some of my previous videos. I do solve quite a bit. That's what I use to kind of get through. It did work on the same digits as the intended logic with these two cells. And then the third hint, if you're still stuck, go check out Kishore Solve, because he gets through it, and his video is only about 19 minutes. Check out these other videos. If you want to see me solve more puzzles by these featured setters, I also want to thank the setters for their insights and let me feature your puzzles and smart hobbies. I want to keep this as a running feature on my channel. And I want to give a huge shout out and thank you to Phil7 for a donation to my Buy Me a Coffee page. You really made my day when I saw that in my Buy Me a Coffee link. Thank you for your contribution. I really appreciate it, and I hope you enjoy the exclusive solving video I sent you. Thank you so much for watching.